Hello there, wrestling fans. This is John Bullard from Pro Wrestling Tonight with you here with a very special episode. I do want you fans at home to know that this is a viewer's discretion is advised episode of Pro Wrestling Tonight, as we will be talking about abuse. But also, we're going to be interviewing our good friend, Chicagoland's Man of Steel, TJ Steele, not only about his wrestling career, but also the strength of overcoming abuse. This is for every one of you at home that has been through a hard time in life. We're hoping that this episode gives you a voice yourself to stand up to your abusers. Most of all, ladies and gentlemen, with us in the studio today as a champion caliber wrestler, tag team champion of many of companies like Chicago Style Wrestling. He has been involved in some of the greatest battles in Chicago. We're going to take a quick look at this highlight reel of the one and only, the Man of Steel, our good friend right here, TJ Steele. So, TJ, thank you for being on the show. We really appreciate you coming on Pro Wrestling Tonight. For the fans at home getting the chance to see you for the very first time on our network, where did you come up with the name TJ Steele?
Well, thank you for having me, first off. But the name actually is kind of an homage, I guess you could say, to my father, TJ Strickland. My dad was the biggest, strongest guy I'd ever known in my entire life, inside and out. He was a decorated detective on the North Central Narcotics Task Force, protected not just my family, but everybody that was around him. And he epitomized strength to me. So a lot of the guys in the law enforcement world would call him either Superman or the Man of Steel. So later in life, when my father got sick, when he was getting close to passing away, he had always kind of wanted me to stay away from professional wrestling and continue with football. But he kind of knew that I was really, really wanting to get into the world of professional wrestling. So in 2008, when he was on his last leg there, very sick, he told me he wanted me to be happy and wanted me to pursue professional wrestling if that's something I wanted to do as a hobby. It's never been something I wanted to do 365 as a career. It's something I love, but it's definitely my hobby. And so after my father passed away, less than a month later, I ended up meeting Steve Boz and started training, and they told me to come up with a name, and I couldn't think of anything better than TJ Steele. and the persona was something that kind of happened on accident. I worked as a bouncer while I was going to college for my criminal law degree. And a couple came in that was apparently in a rival gang as to some of the gentlemen that were there at the bar. They got approached by them, and we had to kick some of them out. Then they came back, about 7 or 8 of them, and all the other bouncers that we had used to kick those guys out were now gone, and it was just me standing in front of this couple. And I'm like, well, these guys aren't all that big, but there's about 7 or 8 of them, and I'm about to get my butt whipped. So I grabbed one of them, started grappling with them, and I got smacked with a beer bottle, which in real life, they don't break. Like
No,
in a movie.
actually
It was
hurt
just like a tink. And I felt, thinking that it's either the beer or something. Well, I had gotten completely busted open from it, legit. And in my mind, I decided, well, I'm just going to go ballistic. Maybe they'll get scared. And so I started flailing my hands all over the place, grabbing the blood, and I'm, come on, just going nuts. And their faces all kind of got very white and kind of, this guy's nuts. Nobody wanted to be the first one to grab the guy, maybe because there was blood or maybe because I was just going nuts. But they ended up, bolting. They left, and I remember hearing one of the guys giving the police report, and he said, he looked like the Energizer Bunny on steroids. And it just resonated with me of like this big, monstrous momentum, charging Energizer Bunny. Yeah. And that's just kind of was the basis of TJ Steele.
It's like he just turned into the ultimate warrior and started destroying himself.
Something like that. So that's where it came from.
So you started training with Steve Boz, of course, a Chicago legend in his own right.
That's right.
With CSW. You've actually won multiple tag team championships, not just with Steve Boz, but also with Jack Shatter and also RAINN.
Well, we were tag partners, me and Remy Reigns and me and Jack Shatter. No gold.
No gold.
From either of those. As a matter of fact, the thing that most people don't know is actually, like 10 years ago, I started in 2009 with Steve Boz. I ended up leaving the company, CSW, for a while. Went and won a heavyweight championship elsewhere. Had some other good accolades and places. Came back, and just last year was actually the first time that I won any gold in CSW, which, like I said, most people didn't know that. So that was literally the first time. So it took 9 years to win.
I think when everybody looks at you, they're thinking like, this guy is champion. It's just like how you present yourself. It was instantly like, you're like, yeah, he's won belts everywhere. You always hear from everybody, you're like, guys, only one. Just what are you talking about? You have a Hall of Fame career without even having like being part of the Hall of Fame.
Right? Yeah. Roddy Piper and those guys. Where sometimes the belt makes the man, and sometimes the man makes the belt. And I feel like there's more than just being a really good wrestler or a really dominant wrestler. As far as getting a championship belt, we all kind of know there's some politics in wrestling, and I've never been someone that's tried to posture myself. I've really wanted to have as much fun as the fans are having, and I've always tried to provide more fun than the fans thought they could have had at a show. And I figured titles and championships will eventually come, and there has been some, and they've been great, but it's never been something that that was my driving force.
Yeah. So you're always considered one of the most entertaining guys in Chicago. So coming up pretty soon with us having our big debut show on October 3rd with Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, you are set to make your debut very soon with the company. What is it that you're looking forward to being part of Chicagoland Championship Wrestling?
I would love to just have not just matches, but have some lasting, I don't know whether you call them necessarily feuds, but just programs with some of the guys that I've been around but haven't had a chance to, have long matches or storyline matches with, like Marche Rocket. We've only touched a couple of times in tag matches back in the day when he was a skinny little toothpick and I was 260 pounds getting tired just walking to the ring. So I would love to have, some really good knockdown dragouts with him. Somebody like Matt Duar, who's been in the business for a little while now, and we've had some times where we've been on the same card together, where we've been in the same promotion together, but it just never lined up right, whether it's booking or or storyline or whatever it has been. We've never been in the same ring against one another. It was supposed to happen this last year, I believe at Underdog Championship Wrestling, but whatever his issues were, he wasn't able to make it. So me and Jack Shatter ended up working a match together for the Brass Ring Championship. And Jack is another guy that I'd love to, if he does decide to throw his hat back into wrestling. There's so much meat left on that bone. So guys like that, maybe even the young guy, is it Garrison Creed? He's got a great look. Looks like he's got maybe almost as much energy as I do in the ring. But I'd love to have a few matches with him, see what he's got.
Also, think you versus the Ice Pick Vic Capri would be a pretty good match itself. Yeah,
we've only had a couple of run-ins. We've been on the same side a few times in tag matches. We had a 6-man tag at CSW. I want to say a month or two before COVID started, we pretty much got some test of strength going on there, and I got the best of him until he tried to kick me in the balls. But maybe I'll get a receipt on him.
Definitely be a good one. So, outside of wrestling, to be serious for a moment, the reason why you're on the show with us today is to talk about an ordeal that you had back when you was in college.
High school.
Or high school.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right.
High school. That, was a horrible abuse.
Yeah. Well, the hashtag speaking out movement is something that's kind of come to light in professional wrestling with victims coming forward that have either been sexually abused, sexually harassed, and it's kind of spreading like wildfire. And I saw a few posts by some fellow wrestlers advocating for it, calling for change, and finally one in particular was a post by Chris Coyote, who's a great up-and-comer, remember that name. And it just kind of resonated with me, and it really got my heart bleeding, and it just echoed in my head that day about it. And it's not that I ever hid the fact that I was, a victim of sexual abuse, but it wasn't something that, hi, how you doing? My name's TJ Steele. I was sexually abused once. It's just something that I didn't talk about openly with people.
There's a cross that you bear without anybody holding it up with you.
Yeah. So I wasn't afraid of necessarily coming forward and talking about it as much as I felt like it hadn't called for it. And when I read that comment, it really called for it. And I decided, man, you know what? I got to do this. I got to talk about this. And Steve Arendt was wonderful enough to have me on his network, his show, Last Man Talking. And we had a beautiful conversation about it. I opened up about my story. Sadly, whether there was mix-ups in production or whatever, but the on-demand copy of it was deleted, and it just seemed like everything was crashing down. My heart was broken, and then all of a sudden, this white knight comes and asks me to be here, and it's going to be difficult, but I'd love to share the story and try to help some young women and men in our line of work get some help that they need and deserve.
Because there's so many people. By the end of the episode, we're actually going to have a video for people to contact. It's called RAINN. It's an amazing organization that helps out abuse survivors. I know it's not an easy thing, myself included. I've dealt with childhood trauma with abuse. Thank you for being on today talking about this, because we see professional athletes being bigger than life, and people think they're untouchable, and not knowing that sometimes the people that we look up to, while they themselves have dealt with personal demons or dealt with hardships.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing for young men and women, young boys and girls, to know that even if you go through abuse, don't stay silent.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to talk about it, because if you don't talk about it, how can you ever resolve what has happened?
Right.
And personally, we're going to talk about what happened. but I want to say from bottom of my heart, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it big time. Well, I was a freshman in high school, went to Sycamore High School. We had a very good football program at that time. Came off an 8-1 season with the varsity team. A lot of money being brought in through that school, so football players could kind of get away with things that the regular folks couldn't. Hazing was a very big thing back then during high school. So the coaches kind of overlooked stuff. And it started with, typical stuff, messing with people's, pads and gear to, giving atomic wedgies and tearing the band off your jock strap or underwear or whatever. And then it just continued to devolve into, guys were getting, held down and Coke bottles shoved in places and very graphic things. And myself and a couple of the other guys that were the leaders of our freshman team, decided to challenge these guys that were doing it. Enough was enough at one point. We ran in and kind of tried pulling them off. Now, these are guys that have gone through puberty. They're basically, for better or worse, adult men, and we're 13-year-old boys. And it didn't go well. The next day up on the marker board in the locker room was, who's next is, my name. Yeah, exactly. And we went to the coaches, please help us. They said, everyone goes through hazing, just tough it out. It's a rite of passage. You guys are making up stuff. You're being dramatic. Lo and behold, I get jumped in the locker room that day, and I fought for my life, and got held down, and they're grabbing broomsticks, and it was one in particular guy that was the head of all of it. That was really the sick one. The other guys, it was a bit of a mob mentality. I don't believe that they truly knew there was sodomy, rape kind of going on. I think they just thought that we were getting kind of roughed up, and they were kind of lying to themselves in a sense. But I remember literally crawling to one of the stalls in the bathroom and trying to clean myself up and walk out to practice, and limp through practice. I get home, and usually I would go in the front door of my house, but I went through the garage, and I took my bloody and torn up underwear, and I hid it in the garbage can in our garage. And when I walked through the house, my mother, who maybe was a better detective than my father was, saw that something was up. As far as I never came through the garage like that, so she's thinking her teenage son is maybe hiding booze or Playboys or something,
or marijuana,
right,
or something.
So she, obviously did a whole once over in the garage, and I came out of the bathroom after taking a shower, and I just see my parents standing there with this bewildered look and tears, and my father is holding these torn up, bloody, jock underwear. And I just grabbed my face, put my hands on it, oh no. And I could not look up. My father was everything to me. I wanted to be big and strong just like him. And it was just, nothing could have saved me from that moment other than feeling his hand on my shoulder and me looking up and seeing that he had more tears coming down his face than I did. And he told me how much he loved me. He hugged me and held me, and told me that he'd help me get justice, and that he would walk the entire way with me and never leave me alone with it, and that we'd carry the burden together. And he was telling the truth. He literally carried me through that, helped me testify. The school initially tried to not believe us, tried to paint us liars. My father luckily had law enforcement connections, was able to literally clean house there with firings, was able to help us bring the guys to justice that were involved in it. And without him, without that, I would be a very different person today. I would have a lot of doubt, and I had trust in the school. We all had trust in the school. They were supposed to protect us.
It was supposed to be a place where you're supposed to be safe.
We were just boys. We were just young boys that were supposed to be safe at school. And not only did they not protect us, but they end up demonizing us in saying that we're liars. And it brings me to the point of, I understand people, John understands people in our business, young men and women that are going through something like this, whether it's a veteran or a trainer or a promoter that's taking advantage of you, forcing themselves on you, and you feel like you either have no way out of it, or if you tell someone you're going to get thrown under the bus and not have a career anymore, or that the police won't believe you, and then you're a man or a woman on an island. I'm telling you right now that places like John's company, places like Chicago Style Wrestling, my brother-in-law's company, Steve Boz, we have clout in this business. People listen to us, believe us, and if you have us on your side, you're not going to get blackballed from this business. You don't have to be afraid of these monsters, these sickos who think they have something over you. And you can come to us. You can come to either the CSW Training Academy. You can talk to us personally. Message us if you want help with going to the authorities, if you want to be pointed into the direction of a organization like RAINN that you spoke about. If you just want someone to be an advocate and help you out, a company or a person, we're here to tell you that we are here for you. You do not have to be afraid anymore. You just don't. We're not going to deal with that in this business anymore.
No. The thing is, I don't think no one should ever have to deal with this, period, no matter where they're at in life. So no matter if you're in the professional business or you're in movies or TV, but just being a regular Joe human being that has dealt with that. And when I had my abuse, I was actually still in elementary school when that happened. And it took me nearly 20 some odd years to talk about it. But today what we're doing is not saying this happened and, you know, oh well, it's more of this happened and we're going to stand up to it. And we're going to help out each and every one of the people that are watching this. Anybody who has been at shows with guys like us, you know, it's okay. It's okay to feel like you don't have a voice. Come to somebody who does have a voice, and they'll talk for you. They'll help you.
Yes.
Reach out. It's okay that you've been through this horrible ordeal, but probably the most powerful thing you can think of is that even though you've been through the worst, there's still a positive light.
Yes.
That someone can find at the end of the tunnel. And
Absolutely.
People can still be brought to justice for doing horrible things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I had my father to walk me through what I could not have done on my own. We are here to tell you that companies like John himself, companies like Chicago Style Wrestling, myself, Steve Boz, Jason Hades, Marco Anthony, people like that are here to walk through hell with you. It does not have to be something you do by yourself. We are here for you, and you can find us through our social medias. You can give yours. There's Chicago Style Wrestling on Instagram, Absolutely. As well as Facebook. TJ Steele 2181 on Instagram. TJ Steele on Facebook. It's just a click away, and we're there for you.
Yeah, so definitely message us. In closing, TJ, is there anything you want to say to the viewers at home or any of your fans that have been loyal to you since 2009?
I want to say thank you for all of the positive feedback that I got after being on Steve Arendt's show. I want to say thank you to Steve himself.
Absolutely.
I want to say thank you so much to you and your lovely wife and this wonderful company for having me on. I want to say thank you especially to my girl Ashley Calderon for being my strength through this when I wanted to give up and say I can't go through telling that story again. It's too much for me. I don't have it in me. She sat me down, talked to me, and recharged my batteries, helped me put on a brave face, and truly, I want to say thank you to her, to all the fans that either sent me supportive messages or ones that sent thank yous saying that they too are now searching for help, or the ones that have asked for help. Clearly, I'm not going to give any names or anything like that, but it's been an overwhelming situation with lots of success, and I hope it continues now through your show as well, that we can continue to literally cleanse this business of monsters. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
TJ, thank you.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, my friend. TJ Steele, everybody. This is John Buller from Pro Wrestling Tonight with our good friend TJ Steele with us. I want to wish every single one of you an awesome weekend, but most of all, be good to each other. See you all at ringside.
Sunday has got me dog.